What's up everybody, back with some more PTR raid testing, and today we're taking a look at Mythic Soulrender Dormazain in the new raid Sanctum of Domination. Keep in mind this is not a guide on how to do the fight, and I will mostly focus on the Mythic part of the encounter. What's new on Mythic, how and if it changes the overall approach to the fight, and my thoughts on the overall encounter. Now if you want to see more of the mechanics, you can check out my heroic video from this fight. So what's new for the Garrosh torture boss on Mythic? Well, apart from Dormazain twisting old Garrosh's poor nipples beyond mortal comprehension, aka everything hits harder and has more health, there's really only one additional thing, and that's the Moss-worn Overlord ad. Now, throughout the fight, Dormazain spawns 4 Moss-worn Agonizers, and like 2 seconds after a Moss-worn Overlord that infuses nearby Agonizers with Defiance, which is 200% increased damage done and immune to all forms of CC, and it's a 16-yard aura around the Overlord, so as long as an Agonizer is within those 16 yards, you can no longer interrupt their agonizing spike, which normally deals around 11k damage to a player and all players within 5 yards, but it now deals 200% more. Now this isn't an instant wipe by any means, as you can spread 5 yards and not take the splash damage, but if multiple casts go off or if more than one Agonizer is within the 16 yards, poop starts to hit the fan real quick. Now this Overlord will slowly move towards Garrosh, and it cannot be slowed, gripped or anything like that. And if it reaches Garrosh, the 16-yard Defiance aura turns into a 50-yard aura instead. So you have to kill it before that happens. And this is just to ensure players don't ignore the ad. But we'll get back to that in a bit. Now like I mentioned earlier, this ad spawns a bit delayed, so like 2 seconds or something after the Agonizer spawns. And you can also see where it is going to spawn, giving you a little time to react and move the Agonizers away from its location, making grips a wonderful tool for this fight. AMZ might be dead, but grip still reigns supreme. So we just kept a close eye on where the Overlord was about to spawn and knocked/gripped away any Agonizers that were near, and then just kept knocking and gripping the Agonizers to stack them up in one group whilst nuking down the Overlord. You could potentially do the opposite and get all the ads into the Overlord, stack all the brands on top and burn them down before a cast goes off, as their casts are pretty darn long. But I doubt that will be required, as the tuning didn't seem that harsh, so you won't really need to min-max every little thing in order to get this one down. For sure more pad though, think of the pad! All in all, even though there's not a whole lot new on Mythic, the addition of the Overlord ad does change up the ad part a lot, and made it a lot more engaging than it was on Heroic, where you just knock them together and AoE. Sure, it's still somewhat that, but now you gotta reposition them away from the big ad, deal with that one, move around the brands a bit, so it just adds a few more steps, and a bit of RNG based on where the Overlord spawns in relation to the Agonizer, so it keeps you on your toes. And due to all of this, the ads were alive a bit longer, so sometimes you had to dodge Torment, aka the safety dance, whilst keeping them interrupted, so it definitely made the fight more fun. And it was a ton of fun to try out, with a lot of hectic moments, which kinda made the boss feel a bit irrelevant, to be honest. He was kinda just there and you smacked him as much as you could, but the main focus was really on the ads and the room, as you had to deal with the Anima Torment lines, the safety dance, snapping the shackles, dealing with the ads, and then the boss was there somewhere. And yeah, that's pretty much it for this fight on Mythic. We'll cover all the bosses on PTR, and proper guides will be out once the raid is released. And I'm streaming all of the raid testing on PTR, so don't forget to check that out whenever there's raid testing announced. Otherwise, I'm streaming all of our main progression once it's live on Mondays and Tuesdays. And if you have any questions at all about this encounter, hit me up in the comments or become a patron and get access to the Stankie Discord, where you can get help with anything raiding related. Don't forget the usual stuff, like, comment, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. It really helps me out. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.